What's up, guys? So let's talk about Lou Gehrig first. This is just a picture that I came across on, I think it's Baseball in Pictures on Instagram. And I zoomed in and took a look at Lou Gehrig in this perfectly caught slot position, as I like to call it. This is a position that really is a is like, to me, it's what current swing instruction is demonizing, and because of that, players are many players are kind of coached out from ever being able to find a good swing from the beginning, because not that this is a necessary position, but it is what most people want to do when they're utilizing more of their lead side. And so if you tell kids not to do it, you're taking like 80% of them and just saying you're not going to be utilizing very much of your lead side. And this pigeonholes them to a worse swing. And so, they call this dragging the barrel. They call this pulling off the ball, pulling the front shoulder. And it's all, where does this come from? It comes from the tendency of instructing in any sport to veer towards the conservative, to veer against and away from power. They from the get-go, they start talking about how power is not something you want to do. I've compared this to religion because I think it's actually borrowed from religion in the sense of Christianity, like the original sin. We're all sinned and we have to fight our natural tendency. Now, I'm not here to make any comment on religion, but I think when you transfer this to the swing mentality, to the swing, and the approach that you take for the swing, it doesn't fit. And this has been a big flaw in instruction. And what they're saying is the tendency of hitters is to want to hit the ball hard, and this is a flaw. We all have this natural flaw to want to hit the ball hard, and when we have that tendency, we tend to create poor positions in the swing. And this is the typical poor position they point to. Another thing they assume that happens, and I've this has been, probably going back to the very first teaching in swing instruction, which is you won't be able to see the ball. You're pulling your head so you won't be able to see the ball. This is just incorrect. I mean, the bottom line is most of the very best hitters, and I'm talking high power and high consistency, had this positioning that you see from Gehrig here. And it's not just the older guys, because I know what people will say is, well, that might have worked back in those days, but it would never work now. I hear that all the time. And that's just honestly, that's just an impetuous response from people who haven't really done their homework. It's just a knee-jerk kind of reactionary response. I've said this before, people look at old film of the NBA. I think that really sticks in people's minds, and then they see players of today, and they're like, oh, obviously we get better mechanically, we get better in every single way. And it's not really apples to apples in that comparison, because those guys who were playing in the NBA in 1950, well, when they were growing up, there wasn't a whole lot of basketball being played in the 1930s. Most kids were playing baseball. And I think that what people are missing, what they're not understanding, is that you can actually go backwards in some skills in hitting. You know, have we gotten bigger and stronger? Yeah, we've gotten bigger and stronger. I mean, pat yourself on the back. Good job. We're breeding just bigger people. That's not even something we're working at. It's just, you know, they're bigger athletes these days. But I think some skills have gotten worse, and you guys have heard me talk about how pitch recognition is a great example of that. For sure, we're not getting the number of pitches. We're not seeing the amount of pitches that the guys in the mid to early 1900s saw. I mean, how can you argue against that? Like, first of all, we have gotten rid of all the sandlots. That was where so much of the pitch recognition skills were attained. And then we added pitching machines. So that just further detracted from the amount of pitches kids saw. But another skill, I think, is mechanics. And this position here is, it's almost like this is a key position today. This is something that we have to, swing instruction will not evolve until we accept that this is actually a good position. Because I would say that this is probably the biggest obstacle, this position right here. And what is this position really saying? Because it's not just about, hey, force this position and you'll be fine. That's not going to cut it. What it's really saying is that Gehrig was utilizing more of his lead side to power the swing than the typical player. And when I say lead side, I mean his upper back and shoulder of the lead side is feeling a lot of the brunt of the wave of energy moving up his body. Most people today, every single teaching that conventional instruction advocates for today is detracting from the amount of lead side that players get in their swings. Stay back, the stay back teaching. That's going to detract from the amount of lead side. Why? Because utilizing more of your lead side is essentially involving your body more. Let's just take it like this. If you were to take the back arm completely off the bat, what would your swing start to look like? Well, you're going to basically control the swing with your torso rotation and kind of the movement of your torso forward into the ball. You're going to start kind of utilizing your body, your bigger muscles, your torso, even your legs to hit the ball. And then we just have the conventional throw the hands, stay inside the ball, go the other way. All these maxims in baseball swing instruction that are steering hitters away from utilizing more of their lead side. As I've said before, I don't know if we actually need to be 50-50 lead side to back arm exertion. And what we are in now is just an epidemic of overly back arm exertion hitters. Or if maybe we're closer to 50-50 now and we need to act, and a great swing is just one that tends to be lopsided in the more lead side direction. I don't know which one it is, but I know that, yes, guys from the early to mid 1900s, guys who grew up with the sandlots and didn't have the distraction of modern day instruction of the swing, they tended to utilize more of their lead side. I think there are a few reasons for this. I think that extremely light plastic bats, which started, everything started to kind of fall apart around the 1950s. That's when pitching machines were invented. That's when plastic bats, wiffle ball was invented. And so, you start to see the repercussions of those advancements in technology in the 1970s. When slap hitting started to become popular. In 1970s and 80s, there were a bunch of slap hitters. And it takes someone like Barry Bonds and Ken Griffey Jr., anomalies, guys who probably weren't swinging plastic because they were in Major League Baseball dugouts, and they were swinging actually heavy wood from a very young age. They were probably seeing a lot of actual live pitching. It takes the rare person. And by the way, they were also probably free of conventional instruction, since all the coaches were surely saying to themselves, his dad probably has it taken care of. I probably shouldn't mess with his swing or try to give him any advice. I mean, how many people do you think gave Ken Griffey Sr.'s kids advice on the swing? That would be pretty gutsy to do that. And same with Barry Bonds, with Bobby Bonds as his dad. So this position that you see Gehrig in, again, it's very much the position that you would get into if you just take your finger and cover his back arm and pretend that he didn't even have his back arm on the bat. You can see that this is very much the same sort of position he would be in if he didn't have a back arm on the bat at all. So this is very lead side, lead arm dominant. And this is a good position. This is what swing instruction really needs to change their opinion on. Anyways, Gehrig, real quick, just to talk about just how good Gehrig was. He was insanely good. I mean, he was 4th all-time in OPS plus. So to me, that means really, Bonds prior to steroids had about a 163 OPS plus, equal to Jimmy Fox. And I judge how good a hitter is overall, his value at the plate, by OPS plus. I don't think there's a better way to just get the overall value. It's a single number, takes into account their consistency and their power. And the list goes Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, Barry Bonds, and then Lou Gehrig. But Barry Bonds, before steroids, he had a 163 OPS plus. He ended up with a 182. For those last 6 years that he played, he had an OPS plus of 221. Insane. Babe Ruth was the highest at 206. Those last 6 years Bonds played, in a way, look, for sure he was the best hitter we've ever seen for those few years, 2001, 2002, and 2004 especially. But, he cheated. I have nothing against Barry Bonds. I know there are a bunch of fans out there. I'm just trying to be real. If you take Bonds out of there, Gehrig is the 3rd best hitter of all time. And I think that makes him, to me, one of the more underrated hitters of all time. You don't hear about him much. You just hear about him in terms of the disease that he coined, or that his name is now connected with. But, unbelievable hitter. So, on the pound-for-pound list, he is number 35. He had a home run every 16.23 at-bats and weighed 200. He also wrote with his right arm, as did Babe Ruth, as did Barry Bonds. So the top 3 hitters of all time uh, top four, actually. Top four hitters of all time wrote with their lead arms. Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, Lou Gehrig, Barry Bonds. So let's move on. I want to talk about Hank Aaron here. This is a swing sent to me by Troy Biggs on Instagram. Appreciate the swings that you sent. This is Hank Aaron. Now, I showed video recently of Darryl Strawberry doing a very similar move to this. This is a move that guys just are not doing these days, and they justify it by, again, saying that like the pitching is just too superior these days compared to what it used to be. And, you know, that's just, I'm not sure why people just assume that. And by the way, a lot of these guys did just as well against really great pitching as they did against the average pitchers. You know, Babe Ruth did just as well against Hall of Fame pitchers as he did against average pitchers. I think people, people just want to, it's called the mere exposure bias, which basically says we are biased towards that which we are exposed to, which is kind of an arrogant human trait. I mean, it's like, just because I've been exposed to it, I'm going to favor it and call it the best. That's all that's going on, is people just want to dismiss hitters. One, because if they're a teacher, they don't want to come to the conclusion that they've been teaching things wrong or anything like that. They don't want to explore that possibility. But two, everyone wants to just be thinking that they're living through the best of times. You know? I just don't think that's the case. The evidence doesn't point to that. Nolan Ryan is one of the, Hank Aaron is one of those guys who, you know, did just as well against great pitching. Against Nolan Ryan, he had a 324 average in 37 at-bats, hit 2 home runs. So that's, you know, home run every, 18 or so at-bats. Not too far off his career mark. I mean, that's the thing, a lot of these great hitters, people want to say, you know, oh, they would never survive in today's game. Their moves would never work. This is just, again, impetuous responses from dilettantes. People who aren't really all that interested. They think they're really into the swing. They think they're experts, but they're a plumber during the day, or they're a bartender, or they're an insurance salesman. You know, I don't go into their territory and try to claim to be an expert. I don't know why that's not respected and done with the swing. You know, this is something I've dedicated my life to, just like you know, any professional, a dentist, a doctor, a lawyer, a plumber would dedicate his life to his craft. And anyways, the evidence just doesn't point to these guys not being able to hang with today's pitching. Here's Aaron, you know, obviously slots the bat nicely here. Look how much the barrel's dropping here. And obviously what I want to point out is how much weight he's shifting forward. Or a better way to say that is how much he's leaning his torso forward. This position here that you see Aaron in is very telling. It's something that you wouldn't see hitters in today. What hitters are doing today is they're hanging back, they're swinging up and hanging back on their back leg, and they're thinking that this is going to help them time pitches better. But again, a very knee-jerk, surface-level understanding of really the cause and effect of what they're doing. If you want to improve your ability to hang in there on off-speed pitches, actually you're better off shifting some weight to the front side and then being able to move your torso forward when you have to. This is something that the older guys, again, growing up in the sandlots, playing stickball in the streets, they just learned how to do this naturally. Here Aaron is going out to get a pitch. Like I said, I put up Strawberry recently, hitting a ball 425 feet to center field, to the shock of Tim McCarver, the announcer, who couldn't believe that, oh my gosh, he was all the way on his front foot and he hit the ball so far. How can he do that? That's unbelievable. No, that's part of the reason. This is something that increases your consistency as well as your power to be able to do this. When you hang back on your back leg, you can only hit the ball in a certain area. You're not giving yourself that adjustment capability of being able to. I mean, how much did Aaron move his torso forward from the start of his swing? I mean, how much did he move it from the start of his stride? Jeez. But then here he is at the start of his swing. Look how much he moves it forward. He moves it forward about a foot just from the start of his swing. When you hang back on your back leg, you're basically helping the pitcher because you're only giving yourself a little area that you can make contact. And if you start your swing, if you start your swing too soon, you're just going to be ending up waving at pitches. And that's what we see a lot of today. I think that is the main reason for such a high strikeout rate that people are talking about, if that is the case. I haven't seen the data on this, but I know that that's a big issue these days. And the knee-jerk reaction as to why that is just guys are only trying for home runs. Okay, they may be thinking they're trying for home runs, but their strategy to hit more home runs is pretty lame these days. Hanging back and swinging up. The launch angle craze was a big red herring. The key to hitting home runs is not to just try to achieve a certain launch angle. The key is to what great home run hitters do that's really different from everyone else is they simply hit the ball with more force, more consistently. Sometimes they catch the bottom half of the ball and it's a home run, but they're consistently just hitting the ball hard. Guys want to make more of what it takes to be a great hitter than what it really is. It's just consistently hitting the ball hard. That's it. They've always wanted to make more of it. For whatever reason, I think it has to do with a few factors. They don't know how to teach power, so they look for all these other things that they can teach. Bunting, slapping the ball the other way, hit and run situations, overthinking the whole thing. It's really just, hitting the ball as hard as you can, as consistently and as squarely as possible. So that I thought was a great, these are a great few swings that Troy sent. Here's another one, Aaron. Well connected. I mean, if you turn this looks so much like Griffey, who, as you guys know, I think has probably the best textbook swing that we've ever seen, at least that I'm familiar with. I haven't, if I saw as many Babe Ruth swings, and probably Ruth's was just as good. But I like to say Griffey because, for various reasons. People just discount the older guys. They wouldn't be able to relate to that. Nobody thinks Babe Ruth could possibly have a great swing. But I think it's just the opposite. I think that he has the swing we need to move towards. But also we just have more of Griffey's swings. He didn't play so long ago that people aren't familiar with him. But I think we could go with someone like Aaron too, or Ruth. But look at this, how he This is something that I think is going to be talked about a little bit more in my channel at least, which is how the great swing is actually two swings. And it's the marriage, the first swing is the marriage of the backswing with this forward momentum. See, he's taking a backswing and he's got a little forward momentum going there, but he hasn't started the second swing, which is the faster swing. What happens in the first swing is that the backswing collides with this rather slow start to a forward rotation, and it's kind of a fall at the same time. And so this sets you up to now move the second swing through your body. And so now, since he's kind of grounded himself, he's fallen onto that front leg with a bent front knee. Now he can use the ground and move that second wave through his body, and you'll see he does that here. There's the second wave moving real fast through the body. In the first wave, another key thing that happens is the barrel and the arm and the hands just kind of are taken by gravity. See that? Whereas in the second swing, it's kind of it's a little bit more tense, and you're moving that wave up through your body really fast and then pushing out with the arms. Here's another one. There, now he sets himself up at this point to now use that second wave and move that through his body. The reason why I like this two-wave system is people are always saying, what is the big difference between, a lead arm swing? What should I be feeling that's so different when I grab a bat with just my lead arm and take swings as opposed to my regular swing? It's this. It's this kind of, this kind of two-swing system. This you move one wave kind of up your body, and that first wave kind of goes up your body, but it's a very subtle move. It almost feels like a no man's land. It's going to feel like just a pause in the swing action where you're just kind of moving forward, but you're allowing the hands to drop because of gravity and the barrel to drop. And then at this point, now he's going to move that second wave up his body. And he's able to achieve a very connected position at contact. What guys are doing now is they're hanging back, basically back here, and it's all just one wave. It's all just fire open, right? And that it's a completely different thing. It really is it's like comparing a cougar to a house cat, It's completely, it's a different thing. And, guys think they're being prudent with it. Conventional instruction thinks it's the right way, and I see their reasoning, and I've fallen victim to all of it. This is why I'm so adamant on the other side now, because I was somebody who bought into all of that stuff. It's just proven to be false in the evidence that I've seen. See if we got one more swing here. Yep. So here you can see he's got the backswing going. He's got a slow forward action. You can see that forward rotation of his torso collides with the backswing. And this is very loose still. To you guys, it's just going to feel like it's just very loose time in the swing. There's not a whole lot of big exertion going on. At this point in the swing here, it's so loose that he should actually be able to delay his swing. At this point, the position he's in here, he's already started to gain some momentum. Here's another advantage, guys, of doing the kind of two-swing system or lead side dominant action, is that you're building up momentum as you're waiting to see if you're going to swing. He still could delay his swing here. he could secondary cushion on that front leg and delay his swing. Simply continue dropping the barrel, continue dropping the hands and arms, and buy yourself a little bit of time. And or move the torso forward and make contact more out in front. Do both even. And then now now that he's grounded, he's got that front knee nice and well bent, then he moves that second wave up his body. Now, as for the first wave, it never actually moves out of your body. So to me, it kind of moves. See, the hips are opening, the shoulders are opening. That's kind of where the end of the first wave hits, about right here. And it doesn't completely exit your arms, right? It's moved up, and then the second wave kind of moves up and kind of collides with that first one. And just kind of like a tsunami is a collision of waves, it makes more power. There you can see that first one moving, or that second one moving through. So there you have it, guys. Hank Aaron. On the pound for pound list, Hank Aaron is number 4, behind Willie Mays, Eric Davis, Mel Ott, and then Hank Aaron. He weighed 180 and hit a home run every 16.38 at bats. Basically hit a home run as often as Lou Gehrig did, but just weighed about 20 pounds less. So there you have it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Check out my website, theswingmechanic.com, for my lead arm training bat. For all you golfers out there, check out the golf swing retreat we got going on in May. And also check out my books, Swing Like Griffey. My newest one, I figured out the golf swing. You can get all that at theswingmechanic.com. Thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.